Hi, on the Woodpecker today. We're still working inside. Now I have some divisions in my shop, but it's not finished yet. We still have to bring inside all the plywood sheets that have been in the kitchen since last May. We'll use them for our mezzanine floor. But before we put them in place, we have to lift all the floor insulation up there. Yep, we must insulate between all the joists. So after 6 plywood sheets and all the floor insulation is on the mezzanine, Renée can start insulating the floor. This is the last place we need to insulate in the whole building. And Renée is, like I've said before, the insulation queen. When at least a third of the floor is insulated, we can start to lay the plywood in place. Seeing the speed that I can screw them in place, I almost regret not having installed OSB on the walls. We make most of the cuts on 2x3s on the floor. And I continue to screw. After the first row is screwed in place, we move the plywood pile and Renée finishes the insulation. The last thin strip is cut downstairs. Then we need to check the fit. Plane it for a tight fit. And finally, screw it in place. The floor is completed, but we still have a small strip of the wall to finish. To close it, I rip a board at the same angle as the ceiling and screw it in place. Now the mezzanine is finished. I just need to sand the floor. This is a small sanding job. It's birch plywood veneer after all. I just removed the line I made and the dirt on the plywood. I vacuum everywhere and we're ready to spread the first coat of varnish. You know, the kind that stinks. We trim the edge of the floor with brushes. Then Renée spread the varnish with a sheepskin. Since the smell can be worse, I spray small pieces of wood to finish the top of the walls. I also spray the unvarnished portion of the dust collector room. This is what the floor looked like the next day. It's pretty obvious that it needs more coats. And this is what the floor looks after 3 coats. This will be perfect. When both coats of varnish on the small planks are dry, I can start to screw them in place, starting by the top of the front doors. I start in the middle and finish on the edges. The top of the doors went pretty fast, but the rest of the wall involved a little more work. I need to make 2 cuts on each piece, the first one at 30 degrees and the other one straight. Next, I can put them in place and screw them. I don't need Renée for this, so I sent her outside to chop a pile of scrap wood to make some firewood. While she does that, I can finish all the top of the walls. When I'm finished, Renée scrubs almost all the exposed posts and beams with a wire brush. Okay, I do some work too. I sand all the king post braces. Even before she's done scrubbing the beams, I start vacuuming them and the surrounding wall. Then I start to spray the post, the braces, and the top side plates. When I spray the inside braces, Renée follows me with a piece of cardboard. The next day, we start to varnish the unvarnished parts of the ceiling, starting with the purlins. Renée takes care of the section over the mezzanine, while I do the front part of the shop. When all the purlins are varnished, we do the rafters. The next morning, I spread the second coat on the beams on top of the mezzanine. Our goal is to get rid of all the wood we stored on top of the center tie beams so we can varnish those sections too. But I ran out of varnish. So I went outside to help the gang, emptying our shed stuff that we stored in the tempo. We have a lot of junk to move out. But after a while, the set section looks like that. We just need to put back the OSB to close the opening. Now I just have to move my snowmobile and wait for snow. I didn't have to wait long. The next morning, the ground was covered with a nice blanket of white. Renée goes outside to shovel, and I start to put the second coat on the front section. When Renée is done shoveling, she finishes the mezzanine section. Then each of us take care of a side and brush the second coat on the sides posts and beams. Now we're stopped because of the wood we stored on the tie beams. We have to remove it. We start by moving a small pile of 2x. Then we move all the pine planks left from the walls and the 2x8s from the crane I used to lift the beams. We have a nice system to move them quickly. We also have several boards of cedar to move. Eventually all the wood on the tie beams is gone and we can start to work on the center sections. But this will have to wait because we really need to shovel the driveway before going to the office. The next day, we move the scaffolds inside the two central sections and I can start to scrub the beams of both sections. Then I vacuum the ceiling for both sections. While I'm doing that, Renée shovels yesterday's snow. But the next day, she's right beside me varnishing the first coat of the ceiling's beams. After 2 days of varnishing, both coats are done and the ceiling is completed. The oils varnish really makes the wood's color pop out. This is the look we're aiming for. Thanks again, and see you soon on the Woodpecker.